You are now. It just came up. All right. Are you ready? Yeah, I was trying to make sure you got through. Not yet. Oh. Nope, just a second. You gotta wait till after your intro. All right, just a second. Here you go. Yeah, you're streaming now. It's doing the beginning of your show. And now you're live.
Okay, hi, this is the Truth Be Told with myself, Tbeyb, live on KUAW Radio and Texas 101 Jam. If you're listening to me over the air via the website or Periscope or Twitch, whatever you get your listen player, you like to watch it live, you can hop over to our Facebook page, which is KUAW Radio. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to that page so that you can have access to all the wonderful content that we offer here on KUAW, as well as Texas 101 Jams. Make sure to go over to Instagram, Texas 101 Jams, like, share that page, tap in on TuneIn, Texas 101 Jams, or KUAW Radio, or both. You know, we're not opposed to both at all. And hop over there, and so you can make sure that you can have access to the content that we hear playing at all times. Again, this is the Truth Be Told with myself, Tbeyb. I don't see myself. Oh, okay, it doesn't have my name.
Don't start that.
Well, my Tbeyb page didn't know. Okay, and it was learned. I'm sorry, let me clean this out a little bit. Okay, that's the best we're gonna do. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I have to try to get this together. Okay, so let me see here. Okay. Where my phone at? Oh, okay. So what I want to talk about, I wasn't even gonna lie to y'all. I really today was a day. Oh, like I said, this is myself, Tbeyb. As y'all can see, my co-host is not here today. Shout out to Carmen Alibre. I just sent out some good thoughts and positive vibes to my friend and co-host. She, been going through a lot, lost a lot of things that she loved around her these last couple of weeks. So just send out some positive vibes and some good thoughts for her. And hopefully she'll be back with us, soon. Oh, this is all in my face. See how nappy my hair looks? I'm sorry. Okay. So before we get into, I know there's a lot of stuff been on social media about what's happened here in Texas, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit. But I also want to say that it is voting is next week, so make sure that you guys go out and vote. Oh, my computer is about to die. Make sure y'all go out and vote. I do, but it's gonna take me a while to get it plugged up. I got 9%. Okay. Make sure that y'all get out and vote next week. And then so over the weekend, so y'all know it's the Halloween weekend. Halloween was yesterday. Yeah, because today's the first. Shout out. Oh, y'all see my shirt, Birthday Queen. I know y'all can't see it on the radio, but it is the 1st of November. Y'all know I am a Scorpio. My birthday is November 14th. I have 13 days. I am excited. I love the 1st of November. I love the month of November. I'm excited. But anyway. So Halloween was yesterday, and it's always some stuff going on about the Halloween. Oh, y'all know. Oh, shout out to the Cowboys. They had a good game this past weekend. I don't got nothing to say about the Chiefs because we was on a bye week. So next week we'll talk about the Chiefs. But anyway, so in Kansas City, Kansas yesterday, so there were like 8 people shot at a Halloween party that I was reading about. I did see that they have one person in custody now, but it was like one person was killed and 7 people were injured. So I guess, somebody decided to shoot up a Halloween party that was going on in Kansas City, Kansas yesterday. And it's just, and then also the stuff with Takeoff, may rest in peace, may the victim of that incident rest in peace as well. But yeah, so Takeoff was at a dice game. People, it seems like what's been reported, an argument broke out, shots rang, and he got hit. Um, and it's crazy because death, we can't prepare ourselves for things like that. It's definitely sudden, and um it hurts, this like dealing when you have some people close to you, or just even thinking as a parent and your child is at a Halloween party, and next thing the party was shot up, and all is that 8 people were shot. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like all these things you just have to basically, I guess, pray and have good thoughts every time your children go somewhere. Can't even go to a simple Halloween party these days. And then it's like the thing that was in the bowling alley and things like that. And it's like, why do we as America, society, community, whatever you want to call it, it's like altercations now. I mean, it goes back, if you are a listener of the Truth Be Told, y'all know I talk about conflict resolution all the time. And it's like we choose to deal with guns when we have this permanent thing that transpire from the misuse of guns, and can't go nowhere, can't. But transpires through the misuse of guns, but yet it's always our go-to. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't, and it's crazy because you think of like a 5 minute, like just a 30-second decision or minute decision can cost you like 20, 15 years of your life, let alone the grief that other people go through. Because the thing about it is like these things happen, and then they talk about it, then it's like it's not, and then it's gone away, it's like it didn't happen or whatever. But grief is real, and everybody deals with grief different, whether it's mourning a pet or mourning a person or mourning shoot, a relationship. Like, you can go through grief with relationships, but I'm just saying, like, it's a lifetime of grief that's not one of those things that get better with time. And we cause this in a split decision because someone said something to us that we didn't like, or someone looked at us in a way that we didn't agree with, or they said something that we thought was disrespectful, like some words. It reminds me of that old saying, like, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But yet someone's words can cause you to make a decision that can make a permanent effect in the lives of so many people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just that person. It's not even just that person's family that that you're affecting. Like, friends, co-workers, like anybody that has been in contact with this person is going to be somewhat affected by a decision because you didn't like what someone said to you. And so then it's like, where does the maturity and the accountability come in? Because these things, and we talk about voting, right? We're talking about voting, and it's like, one thing with me when I look and vote, and when I look into the people that's going up for election or that's going to be into the office or whatever, is the gun policies. Because I do feel like you should have the right to, bear arms. The Constitution tells you that you have the right to bear arms, and I feel like you definitely should have the right, because you never need to know when you will have to protect yourself or defend yourself, if that's how you will be able to use it. But there's some maturity, some classes. I don't know what needs to be going on to make this a thing to where it's, how do we make it to where these things are not happening so often? Like, that's really the question. Like, I'm not really into just keep going over and over and over talking about like a problem, because it's like, you can talk about a problem all day long. All you're going to do is attract more of that problem. Like, you have to be able to find solutions. And so when you think about this particular problem that we are having, and I say amongst our community because it's us killing each other. It's like, we have so much, we fight so much in the world, in the banking system, in the schooling system, in the housing system, like our men in the workplace, we fight, we're going through so much in the world, but has so many things stacked against us. And then you think about our own people at the same time, it's becoming one of those things. And I can't say becoming, I'm about to be 35, okay? So I don't know if it's always been like that, or what I'm saying, something like that, but it's like it's becoming to where and it's been like that for a while, that these outside forces don't really have to do much, because we do so much destruction from the inside. Like, we do so much destruction from the inside of our community, that just is like a burst, and just sprinkles out, and then they just get what's on the outside, or what bursts out, or what happens to survive. You know what I'm saying? Through the things that we go through, or that we put ourselves through, or whatever, and then we but the problem, another thing of it is too, and it goes back to, I talk about the development of like children development and things like that. And we talk about the chakras and the blockage and the healing, the things that you should do for yourself when you realize certain things about yourself or whatever. But we talk about, I say a child's personality is developed between the ages of 0 and 7. And so with the things that we do with our children between the ages of 0 and 7 sets in personality traits that carry on to them into teenagehood, into adulthood as well. And so it's crazy, because I was thinking about this past weekend, you know what I'm saying? I was with a friend, she bought, little friend's son a toy gun. That's what he said he wanted, right? But a toy gun. And I think about the ideal of, we make it like it's a joke. We make it like it's something, that you need to learn, like it's something essential. Don't get me wrong. I do feel like learning how to use a firearm is something that you need to learn in life. I don't think it should be taken lightly as a joke. I don't think it should be done with toys. You know what I'm saying? Our less melanated counterparts aren't teaching their children how to shoot guns with toys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not playing when they're teaching them hunting and things like that. They're using real guns. They're showing the importance of it. And then you can say that might not be a good thing either, because then you look at all the school shootings, and the school shootings happen and things like that. And then you got these children that are going in there doing mass murders of schools and schoolhouse and everything, just because of they know how to use a gun. But my thing of it is, it's like there's a certain line in the way that you teach it, and I think that's where our community needs to be more focused on, is how we are teaching and introducing ideas into our children, and what it's going to be and how it's going to affect them, the things that they see us do, the things that they hear us, how we act, our morals. Like, children watch you. No matter how you think about it, like, they watch you, they look up to you. And so you basically set a part of their personality and how they feel that they are supposed to act and things like that. Not all the time, but most of the time, right? And so when we do those things, this depends on, and also the education of understanding how the development process works, because a lot of adults don't understand how the development process works, how we develop into these humans that we stand amongst you today, at this big age, but how we got to be this way. And then it's like, when you don't think about those things and you don't take those things to effect, then you're kind of stuck in your ways. You're not able to heal. You're not able to grow and push forward more into becoming the person that your heart desires to be, or that the universe desires for you to be, because we don't have a clear understanding of some of the things that we do, or some of the ways that we think have stem from some things that we were probably taught in our childhood, or some things that we've seen in our childhood that we just need to reevaluate and then reprogram. See, being an adult, a lot of people say adulting is whack and everything like that. But one thing I really like about being an adult is the reprogramming, like being able to look at myself and examine myself and say, hey, okay, I need to grow in this area. How can I reprogram my thinking that I have in this area right now? How can I reprogram my mind, my subconscious, to do what I want it to do, and not just let it go with the flow of what it's doing? And discovering those things about yourself are fun. I mean, it's hard work, but again, what is life? You know what I'm saying? if there is no hard work in life, then you're basically not living. You know, nothing's ever going to be easy. Nothing is ever going to be maintained easily, just depending on what it is that you have or what it is that you want and out of yourself. I mean, for your own life. But trust and believe is never going to be easy. It's like when you want to change into, when you decide that you're not liking the way something is going in your life, or the way that you think about a situation, or the way that you deal with relationships, or the way that you deal with setting boundaries and things like that. If you understand, if you look into yourself and understand that you're not comfortable with the way that that is going for your life right now, and understand that you have the ability to change it. It's the creative attributes in you that have the ability to create the reality that you want. But first, you have to be able to examine those things and be able to understand those things. And that's why I talk about the developments of the chakras and the blockage and things that we deal with as adults. Because at the same time, if we don't heal ourselves, when we have children, we pass on those same traumas to our children. That's where generational curses come from. Generational curse come from having trauma stored in DNA and not healing it. You know, when you don't heal it, then you pass it on. And so if it just keeps getting passed on and passed on, then we're not going to see any changes amongst the community, and that we really need to grow as a community. Because at this rate, we killing each other off. It's like, and at a rate faster than anybody else is killing us. We killing each other. And it's just like, for what? You know, and it's like, no, it's probably, and I'm gonna do some numbers. I'm gonna look at the numbers or whatever, but it's probably a real high number about how much, and we probably on the top of that list about killing our own. And it really, like I said, it really, I know I like to bring back things full circle. It really goes to conflict resolution. You know what I'm saying? That party probably was a fight on the inside that deviled out onto the outside, and somebody go in their car and decided that they was going to shoot the person or whatever, and shot 8 people. The thing would take off, the thing would take off. They said KUAW was getting into it with somebody. Somebody jumped up, somebody swung on somebody. Next thing you know, they pulling guns and shooting. Conflict resolution. Simple conflict resolution is something that our community lacks. We really don't have it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't understand why, because we got all the sense in the world, and you would think that we would be able to talk like adults, or we'll be able to solve our problems without putting hands on somebody, or without shooting somebody, or you know what I'm saying, things like that. Like, we should be able to solve our problems better than that, because you're always going to have problems. There's always, and problems might not be the right word, but there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be something you don't agree with. There's always going to be something that you don't like. Like, there's always going to be a person that's looking at you funny, that you don't like the way they're looking at you. Like, there's always going to be something that you can find to get angry about, or you can find to put your hands on somebody, or you can find to shoot somebody. And the thing about it is, don't get me wrong, I'm not just telling y'all this. Like, this is something that I went through as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all been listening to Truth Be Told, you know, a couple of months ago, most of you guys know that, like, I got jumped by, like, a friend, you know, or somebody that I thought was a friend. And I was ready to, baby, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't let this pretty face fool you. Like, I think I'm a gangster at heart. Okay. Like, it's just, yeah, no, you know, but it took a lot of growing and a lot of because most of the time it be pride and ego. You know, like, it's a lot of pride and ego, and a lot of things, that a lot of reasons why we can't seem to solve issues or conflicts that we have. A lot of it has to do with our own pride and ego. And once you're able to get past your own pride and ego, oh, this is on 4%. I might have to go on break early so I can plug this up, Mr. Walker. Okay. Huh? Okay. Yeah. So but yeah, so most of the time it's just like our pride and ego, that's where we cannot fathom the fact of solving a problem logically. And I see most of the time it's about solving the problem logically and not emotionally. See, a lot of times we move off emotions, and it's crazy because I live by this mantra, and it's like I want to respond to a situation and not react to a situation, you know? And so the difference between responding and reacting. So when you react, you're most of the time more than likely reacting off of emotion, you know. But when you respond, that's when you took the time to try to understand the other person's perspective. You took the time to consider other perspectives before you gave an answer, or before you came to a conclusion about the situation, or before you responded to the argument, or before you know, just responded to the whatever situation that it is. You got to take a minute to think. See, like I remember when I was younger, my daddy used to tell me you got to think before you speak, because he said I used to just say anything. Like I'm a Scorpio, I'm brutally honest. I used to tell my mama all the time, I am not Willy Wonka. I do not work at the chocolate factory, and I don't sugarcoat things. Like that's just who I am, you know. But my dad used to tell me all the time that you got to think before you speak, because you need to think about how your words are going to affect someone else, or how your words are going to be received by the person on the other end. Because if you don't care about somebody receiving what it is that you're saying, then yeah, go ahead, say whatever it is that you want to say. But that's not how leaders lead. Because if you need the person on the other end of your conversation to receive what it is that you're saying, you have to be able to think about what it is that you're saying and take their perspective and their feelings into consideration with your words. Yeah, you don't have to sugarcoat things. Yes, always tell the truth, but it's a difference between sugarcoating and telling the truth and telling people what they want to hear, or lying to people. Like this is the different things, ways that goes into it. But that's why you got to think about it, right? So if y'all ain't got nothing from that segment, I just want to say think before you speak and act. Learn how to respond instead of react to situations. And death is permanent. So, you know, and take into consideration like what it is that you put into the atmosphere by the decisions that you're making to someone else in their family and everything. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break because I need to plug on my computer so before I lose connection. So let me see this here. Let me clear this here. Mr. Walker, you let me know when you are ready so I can move.
And you are listening to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. This is The Truth Be Told with Tbeyb, and she will be right back in just a couple of minutes.
Oh, the cord ain't gonna reach.
Oh yeah, I had to get me my snack on. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And oh, I'm not back over here. I gotta be remembering this radio, y'all. My bad. Okay, and we are back. I appreciate you guys for taking the time. Let us take that quick break. Again, or I say again, but I always forget to say this at the beginning of my show. If you have a business or an event that you would like sponsor here on KUAW, make sure to send us the email at kuaw985@gmail.com. We are Kansas City's global community radio station. So help us help you, as well as in Texas. Hit us up on our Texas 101 Jams Instagram DMs. If you like music that you would like played here on Texas 101 Jams, make sure to get that into us. So yes, again, I appreciate you guys. Let me take a break and getting those things out the way. I had to plug on my computer. Again, this is The Truth Be Told with myself, Tbeyb. And we just wrapped up the first half of the show. We're going to get into the second half. Y'all know how I like to do. So y'all know I got a topic for y'all. Okay. And y'all know it got to deal with some relationships. You know it do. So let me see, because I had to take a picture because I knew my phone was going to be tied up on my Instagram Live. Hold on. Wait a minute now. And of course, it's not updated. Okay, so let me try to see if I can do this. Well, bear with me 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Okay, so no, what I want to talk about though is because we talk about, they, it's crazy because people talk about how we come into this era, like last week or last time we were talking about love languages, or how we come into this era where we're giving names to things or whatever. Like it's just kind of like a cool thing to do, I guess, in a sense. Putting names to something or things or situations or things like that or whatever. So I want to talk about these red flags, right? Because people, you tell people about, like, say you meet someone new and you like to talk about things or whatever, like you like to talk about what you like about that person, kind of things that you're working through with that person, because every time you meet someone new you have to learn them, this, as well as they have to learn you. So it's a process, and it's not the fairy tale process that we want it to be. Like, we would want to just meet someone and there not be nothing that we have to compromise on. We just love everything about that person, and yada yada yada, which is some things that is, it just don't work like that. Especially in these days and age, in this day and age, with the situationships that we find ourselves in. Like, yes, no, we don't it just doesn't work like that, and it doesn't work that way. And so we have to deal with a lot of different things. And like they say, we put names to these things. And one of these biggest things that they didn't put some names to is what they consider a red flag, right? And for some reason, you're talking, you like to tell and go through the things that you're working out with in your head and everything like that or whatever. So you talking about these things and your friends like, red flag, or you need to dub him, that's a red flag. Like, people quick to throw that, oh, that's a red flag in there, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. And the thing is, had me start to thinking like, dude, these red flags now, I really wish my co-host was here. I need y'all talking back on me, and I ain't even got my Facebook pulled up. But do we consider these red flags like general? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there just certain things that it's just like, oh, that's a red flag that you just put a name on it? And that's how I was thinking, and I have come up with some research and stuff that I was doing over it, and like where it came from and stuff. Y'all know how I do. So anyway, so it's just, I came across this thing, and it's called the reality of red flags. So we're gonna talk about it for the next 20 minutes. 25 minutes. But yeah, so the reality of red flags. So they got about 10 points on here. So this should carry us out. We should be good. So it says we all have them. Nobody is exempt from red flags. So with that being said, we all have red flags and we look at these red flags in other people or whatever. So sometimes we have to start, we should do a self-evaluation of what our own red flags are. You know what I'm saying? Because it says that we have them, right? So maybe you could go back to like some past friends or relationships, or even like this is when we were talking about those male friends, this is where male friends come into play, because they can give you, like, from a male's perspective, you know, of some of the things that they might notice as being a red flag as far as being in a relationship with you, even though they are friends with you, right? So friendship, like friendship versus relationship, that we might be able to point some of those things out to you, where you could take an evaluation of what some of your own red flags might be. And a lot of times we'll see that the things that we consider red flags are really just a mirror of our own red flags, because that's, you know, people talk about, are insecure about most of the things about other people, and see in other people a reflection of what they feel about themselves. And that's like when I don't take nothing personally, because how somebody treats you or how somebody talks to you is not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of who they are on the inside, you know? And it's the same thing, I guess, with the red flags. And that's why I feel like it's important to understand what your own red flags are. Like me, I'm obsessive. You know what I'm saying? I know that. And I get obsessive quick. Like if I like you, you gonna know, because I'm a Scorpio and I'm mean. So I don't really like people. You know what I'm saying? Like I like people. I have a Libra rising. So I'm sociable. I'm outgoing. I like people to an extent. But as far as we're talking about relationship wise and we're looking at that wise, then you know it's a difference. So, but when I do like you, it's like instant all in like type thing or whatever. And I know that's one of my red flags. So I try to, you know, practice detachment in amongst of my attachment issues that I have, you know, but that's something I had to learn about myself. And that's what come from studying, just like, and trying to have an understanding of myself. So got to understand that everybody has red flags. And so understanding your own personal red flags will kind of help you see what you see as red flags in other people. So again, yeah, that's the first one. And then the second one says there are some universal red flags, including any form of abusive behavior. However, most red flags are actually subjective to each person's preference and what they prioritize. Okay. So this was kind of lengthy. So we're going to break this down because they've said a couple of different things. So it's like, so there are some universal red flags. So that goes back to what my opening thing was when we talk about, oh, that's a red flag, what would be considered. And if you're listening on my live, on a Facebook, whatever, drop something in the comments that you may consider a universal red flag. Like for me, it would be like the domestic violence. You know what I'm saying? If you have a tendency to put your hands on women or vice versa, I think that's the red flags for some men too. They don't like women that do that as either. But yeah, so and also I guess when I'm thinking about universal red flags, and this says any form of abuse, I don't know, I guess I would think like maybe, I don't know. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. I should have thought about that a little bit more before this show. Like what I consider, like, you know, I mean, because basically all I could think of is the way somebody talks to me and if they would put their hands on me. But it says any, including any form of abusive behavior. So that could be emotional, physical, you know what I'm saying? So, but the way that this reads makes it seem like there are some other universal red flags. So y'all put them in the comment for me or hop over to my Facebook page and let me know. I'll make a status and let me know. And then it says, but however, most red flags are actually subjective to each person's preference and what they prioritize. Now, that is the part that I think a lot of people need to understand when we talk about these red flags. And also, like when we're talking to our friends or things like that, because we be like, oh, that's a red flag, but it might not be a red flag for that person. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone has their own perception of what's a red flag to them and what's not. It's certain things like we would accept different things than, you know, our friends. Some things we have a more what's the word I'm looking for? More tolerance level for things than others may have. There's certain things that we feel like we will tolerate just where we are in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, maybe 10 years ago it may have been a red flag, but at this big age, my friend Carmen got me saying that, but at this big age, it ain't a red flag, so much of a red flag no more. I think that's considered things like that, but as well as when we're doing the evaluation of our own red flags, then you have to take into accountability who you ask, because it's a perception thing, you know. And so but I really see that's how you evaluate yourself and see yourself from your perspective, and then you know you can get other people's perception too, but just don't take it to heart so much. You do collect data, analyze it, and then come up with a conclusion. Okay, don't just accept every single thing that someone says to you, you know, because again, like I said, that is subject to each person's perception or preference and their priority. So you got to think about where you are in life. You know, like some people just want to have fun. Like when I start dating people, I always ask them, are you dating for fun? Are you dating for marriage? Like that's a serious question to me, you know, because if you're just dating for fun, you're just dating for fun. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You do that in life. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you go through that stage of life and that's where you are. That's where you are. But if you're dating for marriage, then that means you're open to making a commitment. Not saying that you're going to get married that year or even within the next 2 years, but you're willing to put in the work to take the steps to see if it can lead to marriage. So i.e. We're going to be girlfriend and boyfriend, we're going to date exclusively, like we're going to take these steps to how you get to being married. You don't just be one day, oh, I meet you, next day you married. Even though I seen somebody said their parents got married in 9 days and they have been married for 31 years. Sierra parents got married in 9 days after meeting each other. I'm sorry, my throat dry, y'all. We got married in 9 days after meeting each other, and they've been married 31 years. Well, when she said that interview was 31 years, probably a couple of years ago, so it's probably more than that now. But for the most part, there are certain steps, you know. So certain questions that you ask or whatever, because your priorities in life also affect how you deal with the people that come into your life, which you're maybe dating or meeting and things like that. Because everybody is not in the same position in life or where they are wanting the same things in life, you know. And especially with men, see, with men, one thing that I had learned from, I read this book, How to Love a Black Man. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. My friend Kelsey, give me my book. But yeah, How to Love a Black Man, and they were talking about, and in Steve Harvey's book, Think Like a Man, one of those chapters too, he was talking about how if a man is not in a place where he feels stable financially, in his mindset and his home life and his thing, like he's not really looking for a wife. He's not really in a headspace to where that may be something that he's even considering or even thinking about. Is probably the furthest thing from his mind. And when we think about so that's a whole thing too, because when like I said, it's just people's priorities be different. They be in different places in life. So it's better to get an understanding of where someone is in life. And if that's maybe a red flag for you, then take that into consideration. So the next one, it says unprocessed trauma can prevent us from even noticing red flags. That's go that word, unprocessed trauma. When we talk about unprocessed traumas, that's meaning we didn't take the proper time to heal ourselves from situations that we have been in, or we haven't took the time to evaluate ourselves, to uncover some things that may be some unprocessed trauma in our lives or in our minds, and it makes us, like I was reading this thing about attachments or whatever, because I feel like that's something that I have a problem with, attachments, right? And so it was reading, matter of fact, it's on here. And I just want to say this because this was just like a thing of like insecure attachment style. So that's what they call it. So if you're always trying to read people's emotions or wonder if someone's upset with you, you might have an insecure attachment style. And so when you think about how this comes about, and it says when you were born into a home where a parent was unpredictable, withdrawal, silent treatment, has anger explosion, or has us walking on eggshells, we learn to constantly perceive that parents' emotions. When you've had to do this for years as children, this pattern continues as an adult. We might overanalyze conversations, always think someone is mad at us, or fear we're doing something wrong. Example, when you're out with your friends and you tell a story and one of your friends sighs, afterwards you think about what that sigh meant, or how we were offended them, or we search for the meaning of everyone's actions. The issue is our role as adults isn't to find the meaning behind people's actions. This is simply a coping mechanism we develop from a dysfunctional home. As adults, we are responsible for openly communicating our issues or our problems, and we are not responsible for the emotions of other adults. Okay. To heal, it is important to understand healthy emotional responsibility. And then it gives you some ways to heal and what healing looks like, our emotional responsibility looks like. But I read that because we were talking about the unprocessed trauma. And you see how that went back to all the way back to childhood and being like, you know, a lot of you heard me say before, and I'm very transparent on the truth be told. So you know, I was a victim of child abuse like for a long time, for my first almost decade on earth, right? And so when I think about that, it is like if always feeling like you did something wrong, or looking over your shoulder, or feeling like, oh, is this gonna make somebody mad, or is this gonna make, you know, just that walking on eggshell type thing. And we think about that as a trauma that would be embedded in me. And it's like if I didn't have the understanding that I have to be able to heal from those, to one, to understand how we were talking about on the first half of the show, but be able to understand the trauma and the healing that you need to go through, and then to actually reprogram and take the steps to do that healing so that it doesn't come over as red flags in relationships that you're trying to build or you're trying to start. So yeah, unprocessed trauma. And then sometimes it says it keeps us from noticing red flags. So we don't even notice the things that bother us because of some of the things that we are allowed to accept in our lives, probably from previous relationships or previous situationships with intimate partners, parents, or friends. It could be either or. It doesn't always have to be an intimate partner. Every relationship that we have affects us in some type of way. So from a previous relationship. Conversely, unprocessed trauma can cause us to be hypervigilant and intolerant to any potential red flag. So again, it's just that healing. If you don't really heal from the things that you go through or that you are going through, then you know these are the type of things that affect you and potentially stop you from noticing some of the red flags in the relationships that you are cultivating at the moment, right? Red flag behaviors typically will never fully go away. Stop trying to fix people. However, a healthy relationship is still possible. So you got to understand that just because there's a red flag that comes up, it doesn't mean that you have to stop cultivating that relationship. It just means that one, you have to be able to understand it, and compromise. To me, it's always a compromise and a choice in everything that we do. But if you feel like, oh, I can fix this in that person, then that's not the attitude that you should have. It's, I can love this person beyond this. Even with this, I can still love this person. Not that I want this to go away, or that I can fix them, or that they're going to change. Because if you have that type of thinking, then yes, you should consider that as a deal breaker, because you should not go into no type of relationship trying to change anyone, whether it be an intimate relationship or a friendship. You don't go in thinking that you change someone, you know. So you definitely don't want to own a fix. So Yeah, not all red flags, the red flag behaviors have to be a deal breaker. So they go along with the same one before, like I was saying. It's not always that this is the end of the situation. It's just an evaluation of the relationship to see if you feel, or if you get the intuition, or you get the instinct, not the intuition, but if you get the instinct to continue to cultivate that relationship beyond what it is that you consider a red flag. The red flag just made you stop and think. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just made you stop and think. That's what red flags do. It makes you stop and think. Is this something that I can deal with, or is this something that I can't deal with? You have to determine if the red flag is a deal breaker or not. And again, this is subject to a person's preference. So what may be a deal breaker red flag to you will not necessarily be a deal breaker red flag to me. So this is why this is a self-evaluation. A lot of times we always want to look at our friends or our sisters, or our families, or whatever, to look at and talk to, when really the person that we need to be talking to is the person in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Our God, whatever you refer to, the higher power. But that's the conversation that we need to be having, instead of having with all these people that have their own perception that's something that may be totally different from ours, right? It is okay to move forward in a relationship with certain type of red flags if the other person demonstrates self-awareness about these behaviors and is intentionally working towards positive change. See, but you see what is how it read that. It says if the person demonstrates self-awareness, one, are they knowledgeable about the red flag, or have you stated it and made or communicated it clear enough that this is kind of, this is a red flag, you shouldn't be doing this, or whatever. And so the person becomes self-aware of what it is that they're doing, and intentionally want to change the behavior. They have to want to change the behavior, not you. Or you can't want to change it for them. They have to want to change it for themselves. They have to see it as a challenge within their self, and they have to see it from that perspective. They have to be able to make that decision if that is what they want to do. I'm trying to make sure I got no time on this thing. Okay. So that they want to make that change, for themselves. We don't intentionally choose people with red flags. This often happens due to our rational programming. We are attracted to its familiarity. I know I didn't say that word right, but whatever. But we do not intentionally choose people with red flags. They often happens due to our rational programming. We are attracted to, it feels familiar. So what's familiar. We're attracted to what's familiar. And that's true. That's why they say people date the same person over and over, just in a different body. And then wonder why your relationships turn out the same. I'm victim. I mean, not victim. I'm guilty. You know what I'm saying? I'm guilty of it. I've done it. I could look back at a couple of relationships. I could be like, this is the same relationship with a different person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens or whatever. But it's like, those are the things that we are attracted to, and that's where that reprogramming comes in that we were talking about. It the subconscious. See, our subconscious be on autopilot to these type of things or whatever, and we find ourselves in a position to always attracting those same type of characteristics, just in different people. So you got to understand, be very forgiving of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing that I really want people to understand. Like, you have to be very forgiving to yourself, because you are going to do some things, you are going to make some decisions, you are going to say some things that once you start growing, you look back on like, I really shouldn't have done that, or not necessarily regret, but I could have handled that differently. And so just be forgiving of yourself, because we can't fall too much into the past. We can't dwell too much on the things that we cannot change. So don't dwell on it or grieve on it or be sad about it, but forgive yourself for it and learn how and reprogram, learn what it is that you are supposed to learn up out of it, because everything happens for a reason. Everything is a lesson. So you learn what you're supposed to learn from the situation and act accordingly. Make the changes that need to be changed, and reprogram yourself so that moving forward, you don't do the same things. That's really what life's about, because you can't do anything about yesterday. You can't do anything about yesterday. All you can plan is for tomorrow. With the healing that you do today will make for a better tomorrow. So we got to understand those things. Sometimes we do look past red flags because we're human. When we crave connection, attention, and affection, basic human needs. I don't got enough time to go into that one. I don't know. That book said we crave connection, attention, and affection. Yeah, I mean, those are basic human needs from right out the womb. Connection, attention, and affection. So it's like if someone is giving you those things, you decide to look past certain things like that. But to me, that just means they haven't hit one of your deal breaker red flags. Because once you really sit down and think to yourself, like, what are my deal breaker red flags? You know? And so once you figure that out about yourself, I don't think that, you will look past those. You might look past small red flags or just things like, and not necessarily look past because you, like I said, you have to grow through it. So it might be something that you compromise on, or it might be something that you talk about, or it might be something that you set a boundary, for whatever. And but it's not necessarily a deal breaker, right? So it goes back to those deal breaker red flags. And I don't think that I don't care how much attention, a connection, or affection that you want. If your deal breaker red flags come up, then you let that be a deal breaker red flag. Like it is what it is. Yeah. If connection, attention, and affection are basic human needs, that means all humans need and give connection, attention, and affection to the right person. So you're not missing out on nothing. Don't let that be something that make you stick around with somebody that you know is not for you. Okay. Let's not do that one. That would not be smart. Okay. And then the last one, it says the more healing you do, the quicker you will catch and can protect yourself from deal breaker red flags. That's what I was just saying. Know yourself, learn yourself, take the time to study yourself, what it is your heart desires without thinking about anyone else's feelings, considering anyone else's feelings or what anyone else wants or anything like that. Just strictly you. What is it that your heart desire? What are your deal breaker red flags? Write those things down. Know what they are so that you can recognize them. Heal yourself so that you can make sure it's not you're not reflecting something that's on the inside of you. So make sure that you do those type of things. And I feel like those are the steps that we need to take to get past this little thing and help us be better daters, and have better dating lives or whatever. Because I know that's the season that I'm in. So that's what I talk about. And I just think it's something that we can have and use to be able to build healthy, sustainable, real relationships. I mean, that's the goal, right? To have real sustainable relationships. And I think that the more work that we do on self and the more work that we understand, the more things that we heal and understand about ourselves, the better relationships that we will start attracting to ourselves and cultivating and have for ourselves. And so, yeah, that is my spiel for that today. I really don't have too much more to say to you guys. But real quick, I'm gonna get out of here. It's gonna be a couple of minutes early, I guess. Only 2 minutes, 1 minute now. But okay. So I'm gonna get up out of here, but before I leave, I'm gonna give you guys with the Holy Covenant of Asiatic Nation. So ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care. The breast of one mother have given ye suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bonded you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brothers in adversity, assist him. If thy sisters in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy Father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Peace. All right, y'all getting ready for y'all next show? Ah, okay. He recorded it earlier.